Hello everyone, welcome to our podcast, Coffee Time with the ASK Vietnam, a multilingual weekly podcast informing the audiences about the business development, investment opportunities, education in Vietnam, and so much more. And I'm Chang Dao, the host and producer of this podcast, and I'm really excited to introduce you today a very interesting topic of our podcast this week. It is about Quy Nhon-Binh Dinh Province turning to the hotspots for innovation and investment. Quy Nhon is a coastal city and it is known as a new hotspot for beach lovers. So Quy Nhon becomes an ideal place for people who love gold sands, clear sea waters, and a very peaceful atmosphere. So located in the south central coast of Vietnam and attracting thousands of visitors every year, Quy Nhon is slowly proving that it is one of the hidden gems in the regions. And I think in the recent years, Binh Dinh Province has a significant shift towards a potential destination for innovation and investment, hub in the central region of Vietnam. Binh Dinh rank well for the streamlining of all administrative procedures for investment, land, and construction. The Binh Dinh authorities has encouraged investment not only in the tourism sectors but also in different industries like high-tech, IT, and support industry. And finally, I'm really pleased to introduce our guest today, Mr. Marco Valder, Chief Representative of the ASK Vietnam, and Dr. Nguyen Hữu Lê, the Chairman of TMA Solutions. So welcome.
Hello, Trang. Thank you very much for the opportunity to participate in this podcast about Binh Dinh.
Yeah, Chang, thank you very much, and hello also from my side. As always, I'm really pleased to be one of the guests here in our AHK podcast, Coffee Time with AHK Vietnam. And I just realized that we have a new background music, what makes me really happy. And I'm also very grateful about our topic today, Binh Dinh in Quy Nhon. I think it's a really promising location, and I'm really happy that we can talk about that and introduce this region. And I'm more pleased that I can do the podcast together with my friend, Mr. Dr. Lê from TMA. So we had some delegations and also some meetings, some trips, some projects together already. I just can say he is one of the most impressive persons here in Vietnam. And again, I'm really happy that we can have this podcast together today. Thank you.
Maybe the first question for you, Marco. In many major economic centers like Hanoi or in Ho Chi Minh City, it's become more and more expensive and crowded, and the economic growth is somehow likely to flow into the central region. So therefore, even the Vietnamese government, they remains committed to developing like a central region to further propel Vietnam's economy as it expands. So do you think that it will bring opportunities for provinces like Binh Dinh?
Yes, thank you very much for the very interesting question. And first of all, I also would underline this trend which you just described. We also see more and more economic development a bit away from the traditional economical center like Hanoi and Ho Chi Minh City. And of course, it brings a lot of opportunities for provinces. I think first of all, the central provinces could develop their own infrastructure. They could develop industrial zones. They can go with the state-of-the-art technology, for example, in a green energy segment. But from my personal view, I would say the biggest advantage is that those provinces can keep their talents and their people in their own province. Right now we have a situation, and I take the example Binh Dinh. They have a very nice and a really competent university. It's amongst the top 10 universities in Vietnam. But after graduation, almost all the students, they have to leave. They have to go for modern jobs, and they have to go abroad, or at least to go to other provinces and to this traditional economical center so far. And here is really the chance to educate the people in their own province at the highest standard, and afterwards also to give them a perspective in their own home province. And I think that's very good for the province, and it's more important, is also very good for the individual people.
So as the chief representative of the ASK Vietnam, you have worked with many German investors in Vietnam and worldwide. From the German perspective, so how do you assess the investment potential of Quy Nhon-Binh Dinh, and in what aspects will you think that the city can shift into the potential destination for innovation and investment?
Yes, indeed. The Binh Dinh province with the capital Quy Nhon, in our view, is a really prime location. If you see their natural resources, what they have a big coastline, they have a deep sea port, they have mountains, they have a lot of wind, let's say, and a lot of sun, of course, and it makes they have perfect conditions to develop more green energy projects like solar parks and also wind parks. To develop especially the infrastructure and also the industrial parks with the companies, with the production companies, that creates a high energy demand for the future. And I think those provinces like Binh Dinh, they could just jump over some developments what other provinces just did, so they really can start straight away with green energy projects. We saw it many times that they think when they start to plan and to realize the industrial park, that it goes always along with a solar power project or also with an onshore wind park. And we know about the very promising planning of first offshore wind park, hopefully with a German project developer and also with German technology. We are working on that. But I think it's my impression that they really recognized it's their moment right now, and it's the moment to make everything sustainable, environmental friendly, and to develop the whole province and also the capital city of Quy Nhon as a really modern destination for innovation and investment. And so my impression is really good, and for us in our consulting activities, Quy Nhon is one of the prime locations right now.
Dear Marco, you travel a lot to different provinces and cities in Vietnam. So, and I know that you have traveled several times in Quy Nhon-Binh Dinh Province, so bringing many German delegations and companies to this province to discover the potential there. So can you share with us your impressions?
Yeah, I'm really pleased to share my experience also in this regard. And what is always impressive for me and also for our German guests is the openness of the province leaders and also of the administration. Sometimes you think, okay, you go to a central province and the people don't have too much experiences in working and talking, negotiating with foreigners. And I know that beside all the hard facts, sometimes we have also intercultural challenges and so on. But in Quy Nhon, it was always surprising that when we started with a presentation, that they asked us right at the beginning, please skip all the nice pictures, come straight to the point. And so for our German mindset, so it's a great openness. They describe very direct and really honest. They want the project, yes or no, where are the challenges and what are the ways to manage the challenges. And this is what I not saw too often here in Vietnam. And this attitude and this straightforward mindset of the local administration, that's really impressive for me.
According to the AHK Vietnam surveys, currently there are just some German FDI projects with a total investment capital of around 15 million US dollar in Quy Nhon-Binh Dinh Province. So they are now acting in different sectors such as construction materials, pharmaceutical products, and textile industries. So what are your expectations in the middle terms? And would the number of German FDIs here increase? And if yes, in which sectors?
So I'm quite positive on that. Let me take one step back. I think before we talk about Binh Dinh, we also have to say that right now Vietnam in total, in general, is really attractive for German investments, especially for this companies following this China Plus One strategy. And so Vietnam is a member of ASEAN Economic Community, is member of TPP 11, and just one of two ASEAN countries also signed and negotiated a free trade agreement with the European Union. So this agreement came in power 1st of August this year, so it's quite fresh, 1 month. And that brings Vietnam in an excellent position to be attractive, especially for German small and medium-sized enterprises. And here, and we mentioned that already at the beginning, the traditional investment locations, they are crowded, quite full. So you have right now a lack of qualified workers over there. And I'm really happy that provinces like Binh Dinh and Quy Nhon are now developing so fast, and what they did in the last months, in the last years, is really impressive. I remember when I traveled the first time 2 years, 3 years ago to Quy Nhon, the city looked totally different than right now. So my last visit was 2 weeks ago, and I really would say Quy Nhon is attractive for production, for typical production investments. Maybe not for textile anymore, but for metal processing, for automotive industry. They have industrial zones, state of the art, sustainable with green energy parts. They have deep sea port, and of course they have really hardworking people living there, and not just hardworking, also willing to learn and really keen to work for companies, and especially also for international and German companies. And so it's attractive for production, but it's also attractive for services, for highly qualified services like in the IT sector. At the end of this month, we will have the official opening of Innovative Park, IT Innovative Park, also in Quy Nhon. This park is developed and also driven by IT companies, Vietnamese IT companies. So they saw the potential over there, and also the potential, I also mentioned that already, with the university, with this education part in this province, and even more everything what is around production and also services. We talked about green energy already, solar parks, wind energy, perfect conditions for that. This in combination with the openness of the local administration, I think all over makes this region really attractive right now.
So thank you very much, Marco, for the very positive perspective and opinions about Binh Dinh. And I think that's also for our audiences, it's very useful and important to know how AHK Vietnam will support the German businesses in investing in Quy Nhon-Binh Dinh. So can you share with us?
So of course, as a HK, we have individual consultancy service for potential investors, and when we have the screening, what country or which country is the best country for my next invest, and inside the country, in our case in Vietnam, then we have to make a breakdown to different provinces, different regions, and I'm sure, and it's a situation today already, that we will recommend and at least introduce Binh Dinh and Quy Nhon as a potential investment location. And for business delegations, we also try to explain and attract the delegation leaders or the organizer of the business delegation also to visit Quy Nhon. We did it really successful last time with the Minister of Economy of Sachsen-Anhalt. And I think everybody was really impressed. So a lot of people know already the big center, even in Vietnam, like Ho Chi Minh City or like Hanoi. Even Da Nang is not unknown anymore. But to find a suitable location like Quy Nhon, and as a delegation going there as one of the first foreign business delegation, I think this is a good opportunity to create added value for the delegation members right now. So we will promote this province of Binh Dinh, the capital Quy Nhon. We will show the advantages. Of course, we also have to show the challenges, a bit the disadvantages. And we also offer to the local administration our support to advise them what a German company needs for further investment, how to make and to create the province attractive, what is necessary, what is maybe not so important. And it would really be my wish that we can create something together and make Binh Dinh as a hotspot of the next generation of German investments in Vietnam.
Dear Dr. Lê, thank you so much again for joining us today. We all know that TMA Innovation Parks is built in Quy Nhon Innovation Valley and becoming a technology hub to develop sciences and technology in central Vietnam. The park is built in an area of around 15 hectares in Quy Hoa Valley, surrounded by wonderful natural landscapes, including mountains, sea, rivers, and lakes, with investments of around $8 million. So I'm very happy that I was there several times, and it's just amazing. So can you share with us the story behind and why did you choose Quy Nhon as an innovation destination?
Why do we choose Quy Nhon? The short answer is that it has a very good university and many good colleges. We are in an industry that required a lot of good people. So therefore, we want to be able to find a location outside of Ho Chi Minh City or Hanoi where we can rely on a more stable and scalable workforce. Quy Nhon, and in particular, and Binh Dinh Province in general, also have very good infrastructure that would allow us to diversify into other industry later on as well. We have the Phu Yen International Airport. We also have Quy Nhon Port, which is the largest port in central Vietnam. Lastly, we simply love Quy Nhon as a place to live and to work. The city is a small size city with about 400,000 people, and the Binh Dinh province have about 1.6 million. But we have more than 130 kilometers of shoreline. We have a lot of nice mountains, a lot of beaches, and so therefore the quality of life is very good for our people. Binh Dinh is also the gateway to the highland provinces like Gia Lai, Kon Tum, Dak Lek. So we can also attract people from those provinces as well. And again, if we do want to diversify into other industry, that would be also a great source of people, of material for us to develop.
Oh, Well, I think that's a great story that with your, some kind of intentions, bringing the Kenyan people back from Saigon back to their hometown and work in your innovation park. So it is also surprise me that Quy Nhon have one of the best university in Vietnam. So I think that's much potential. As well in Quy Nhon for the investors. So just coming back to the topic today, we know that one of the big issues that the foreign investor will face when considering an investment is the suitable qualified workers. So would you face any problems in recruiting and in finding the qualified IT experts in Quy Nhon-Binh Dinh? And how do you think about the workforce quality and productivity there?
Currently, our main business is to develop software for our customer overseas. So the standard is quite high, and so we do have to invest a lot in working with the local university and colleges in order to bring up the standard to meet the requirement by our overseas customer. So we have a very strong relationship with Quy Nhon University, for example, where we would provide SME subject matter expert to help to teach advanced courses. We have a significant internship program where we would take a student from third or fourth year student to help to prepare them with some of the more practical skill that they would need when they enter the workforce. What is also quite important potentially is the ability to attract many of the people who have graduated either from local university and college and have to go to other large centers like Ho Chi Minh City to work, to come back to Quy Nhon. Many of them would like to be able to come back to Quy Nhon or to Binh Dinh to be closer to their family and enjoy a less expensive and much better quality of life. So in the short term, it is a challenge for us to bring the standard up to meet our minimum standard to support our overseas market, especially in foreign language, either English or Japanese. But in the medium to long term, we hope that we will be able to meet the need of our company more readily by the result of our cooperation with the local university and college and by attracting people coming back from Ho Chi Minh City.
So thank you, Dr. Lee, for sharing. It's very interesting to know. So as the HK Vietnam, we wish you all the best. And maybe for the last questions, would you share with us about your future plans of TMA Innovation Park?
The future of the TMA Innovation Park is, first, we want to continue to build up the software center to be up to a few thousand people in the next 2 to 5 years. And then in parallel with that, we also want to attract many overseas companies to come to the park to either to work with TMA for their software center or to develop their own technology center, which is not limited to software. In the second phase, TMA will diversify into area that is not limited to software. Any technology that support the development of Industry 4.0, especially leveraging the data science center that we are developing in TMA. And also, we will diversify into any technology where we can bring the technology developed elsewhere to localize it, to customize it for the Vietnam and the overseas market. So we look forward to have the opportunity to meet with any of you who are interested in knowing more about the TMA Innovation Park, knowing more about Quy Nhon, about Bình Định, and we can meet either in Ho Chi Minh City initially, and then better is to meet in Quy Nhon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, and maybe I can round up a bit. Very impressive what you did with your company so far, and more impressive for me as a foreigner living and working in Vietnam is this Vietnamese, I don't know, is it a tradition? I call it tradition, that if you are a really successful businessman like you and you reached a certain age, I will not tell more about any details, you have the desire and the request from yourself to give something back to your home region where you grew up, where you have the first educational steps. And it's really nice to see how you are doing that. So you lived many decades abroad in Canada, Australia. Your company made amazing development during the past 20 years. And now you give something back, and something back what is really useful for your home region and also for the people over there, and this with a very impressive state-of-the-art project with the Innovation Valley. And so again, for me as a foreigner, is really impressive to see that. And once again, it was our outstanding pleasure to have this podcast with you. Thank you.
Special thanks to our guests, Marco and Dr. Lê, for joining our podcast today. I'm really appreciated for your sharing about your own experiences, opinions, and especially your future plans for the city Quy Nhon and Binh Dinh Province. So we also hope that there will be more German and European investors in Binh Dinh in the future. Please make sure to visit our website and social media to keep you updated about the shows and discover other activities, events of the AHK Vietnam, as well as all the current business news also in Vietnam. So thank you for listening to the Coffee Time with the AHK Vietnam podcast. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode.